I don't know. Just gotta figure stuff.
All right, welcome. Diane, if you're able to send Cody uh, the Zoom link, he was saying that he wasn't able to get it.
Yes. Hi, guys.
All right. Okay, so we will jump right into this now. Um, for those of you that may not know me, my name is Barry Overton. I'm part of the Super Agents Collaborative, and this is our monthly training that we're going to be doing within our group. We have invited some folks outside of our group to also join in because I just think that this is valuable information for any and everyone to really get, especially in the day and time that we're in now of a market really where you have to hunt, for business. It's not 2020 and 2021, and honestly, even all the way from 2017 on, where business really kind of fell in your lap to a certain degree. And I'm seeing more and more agents, their numbers, because I look at agents' numbers all the time, and I'm seeing a decrease in their numbers year after year. And one of the things that was important for us was to really help our agents to thrive in this market. And the beauty of it is, I kind of got into real estate at a time when it was much like 2020 or so. And then I hit the recession and hit the crash of the market. And I had to learn how to do business. I had to pivot and learn how to navigate with the current circumstances. And that's what we're seeing a lot right now. And so a big reason for this particular training is because when we listen to the consumer, we listen to the market, and we hear the biggest pushback that we get from buyers is interest rates and prices. And I've looked at a few different areas that I would say, okay, how can we remedy this? How can we make this where it's not an issue for buyers and they want to be able to buy? And one of them is, how can we get them lower interest rates? How can we get them better prices? And that's really what we've been able to do in this area of new construction. If you're not working in that space of new construction, we're going to share a few things, hopefully today, that will get you really excited about new construction and how to navigate this particular sector of real estate, because I think it's a great opportunity to make very significant income in your business just from new construction alone. And I can tell you, last year, 2024, I sold 31 homes. Of those 31 homes, nine of them were new construction. Um, During 2021, I sold 35 homes. This was a different market, though. This is where houses weren't sitting on the market for a period of time. Instead, they were having multiple offer situations, and I had buyer time after time after time that was getting outbidded on deals, and so they would get frustrated, and their feeling was, well, let's go. Um, get new construction, and they were able to buy a new construction home at the
I
price that it was listed at, and they were able to put themselves in a better position. So that's why, again, I'm a big proponent of being able to purchase new construction. And we're going to show you how right now, where, everyone's talking about interest rates. Well, we saw that problem for a lot of people. Where everyone's talking about high prices. We've been able to solve that problem. And I think you're going to be able to solve that for some of the folks in your sphere that are, interested in buying, but maybe gun shy because of prices and interest rates. And through this training, we're saying that you're going to be, in essence, building yourself as a specialist in new construction, and you should kind of think of yourself from that perspective. You're not just a real estate agent; you're going to be a new construction specialist. When I talk to my clients, I tell them that. I tell them about all the relationships that I have. and all the different builders that I work with. So we want to get you into that place as well. And it really starts by, building that relationship with new construction sales reps and builders. Right now, we probably have over 30 builders, probably more than that, but 30 or so that are very active in the metro area right now. And what that means is, number one, there's a lot of building that's going on. And so you have to think to yourself, okay, we're hearing that the market is soft and homes are selling slower, but yet and still, new construction is moving quite a bit. And so there's an opportunity there, and we'll talk more about that opportunity. So I think this is where it really becomes important, you as an agent, that you're networking and you're connecting with some of those key industry leaders, being some of the big builders, the Richmond Homes, the D.R. Hortons, the Lennars, the Meritage, all the big builders that are out there. But there's also a great opportunity with some of the smaller builders as well. I have people that I'm connected with. Can you please make sure that you mute yourself as you're coming in? I have people that I'm connected with that have um, built those relationships with some of the smaller builders, and they are in essence their main salesperson for some of their buildings. And in some of these cases, they're selling condos or they're selling, townhomes. So there's some great relationships that you can build for yourself there. But there's also an opportunity if you don't have those types of connections with builders where you're just working, you're almost like a new construction broker where you can go to any builder. And it's because you know of all the different deals that each one of these builders offers, and you're able to offer those to your clients. You're going to be able to gain, really by building these networks and connections, gain valuable insights of the inventory and the incentives that these builders are offering. One of the things that I would highly suggest is if you maybe you take 1 or 2 days out of the month, maybe you take one day out of the week for the next 4 weeks, the next 2 months, whatever the case may be, and familiarize yourself with different builders. And that means going out to some of the different developments and walking the models. And we're going to talk about when you're walking the model, some of the things you should be doing there as well. But walking the models, getting to know the sales reps in those areas um, that you're communicating with, and starting establishing those relationships. This is the type of relationship you want to have. You want to have a relationship where you have a sales rep, at least one, maybe even two, just depending on the builder. But at least one sales rep from every builder. So much to the point they're connected with you so well that they email you every Monday or every Tuesday after their sales meeting, letting you know what the latest incentives are for that week. Or they're calling you or texting you. I actually have one that I work very closely with Lennar Homes. She's going to be on here today. She's going to give us some of the inside scoop in regards to how things operate on the builder side. And she'll be at the end of the presentation here. But we are so connected. We talk just about every week, talk or text just about every week. And I have quite a few other sales reps that I do that with. So I know the moment they come out of a meeting, I'm one of the first people they're reaching out to let know what's just been released. And I can tell you, just to kind of give you a quick story, I had a situation like that where I had a buyer that was in a certain price point, and we were looking at resale. And all of a sudden, my rep from D.R. Horton reached out to me. This was about a week after we had just did a realtor home tour of about 15, 20 agents that I brought out there. And she said, "Hey, I have one that just hit the mark, or we just cut the price, $82,000. They cut the price. And we're still offering a 4.5% interest rate, and we give $5,000 towards closing costs." And I said, "I'm on it. I got someone for it." And that was a Thursday that she called me. My folks saw it on Friday. We were under contract on Saturday. So and this particular buyer, we had been looking for about a month at that point, and we just weren't finding something that checked all the boxes. And this was the perfect home for what she was looking for. So it's, having those types of relationships and establishing the relationships, cultivating them, that will, in the long run, it'll continue to, you'll monetize on it year after year after year. Um, and again, every year, I always look at my business. How much new construction did I sell of the total volume? Because I want it to be a part of my business model, because a big part of my marketing and advertising is around new construction. And I'll share with you here in just a second why that is. But there's certain things that new construction offers that allows me to market it and advertise it and share it with other people, consumers, that draws business to me. So we'll go through that here as we're going through the information. Okay, so and actually we're going to kind of hit on it right here, the new construction marketing. So one of the things that as I mentioned, making it a point to go out, once a week, twice a week, for the next couple of weeks or couple of months, even until you have really got a pretty good understanding and a foothold on the new construction market. Get out there and meet some of these sales reps. But while you're doing that, also shoot video content right there on your cell phone. Shoot content to be able to put on your social media. And I'll show you some different ways that you can use that. I don't know if he's on here yet or not. I have a gentleman, he's a Lakewood police officer, and I know he has to work today, so I don't think he was able to get on. But just joined us. He's about 7, 8 weeks in real estate. And I told him to do this about a month ago. He didn't even have an Instagram account, but he followed the instructions. He went out, he shot footage. He actually met with Ava, who you're going to meet earlier, and he shot footage of multiple houses. And he, for about 2 or 3 weeks, I just saw all the different content. And I was like, man, that's a great video. Where did you learn how to edit? And he said, I just figured it out. I've never done it before. I didn't even have an Instagram account. Actually, he's coming in right now. Um, but that just kind of shows you, I mean, you put this into action and you'll see, it's going to get noticed. And I know he's already talked to officers potentially about buying that are at his station. And so he's already seen the fruits of the labor immediately materialize. And you have to think about it. If you can go out and shoot content, and the builders are more than fine with it, and you're shooting model homes, you're shooting, very nice homes, and you're putting that content out. So you're getting great exposure for those properties, but then
There's a lane closure ahead.
it's also drawing people to you as well, just in regards to who you are. And that's one of the things that's going to have more people that are following you on social media. So again, and so what do you put on the content? It could literally be, I wish I had the opportunity to upload. I had some examples that I wanted to show you. I've seen videos where it's just the house and some music, and it's about a 5 second snippet of the living room, another 5 second snippet of the dining area, another 5 second snippet of the master and the kitchen and things of that nature. And then they'll put, just some information, text on the screen. I've seen other people that will do kind of the same type of video, and they'll have a voiceover. Maybe it's telling you about the house, maybe it's telling you about new construction, but they can talk about whatever they want. They're using the video part sometimes just as a visual to draw you in, but then they have this voiceover where they're giving you something of value, some information there. I can tell you for me, one of the things the first thing that I do is if I go out to a builder, I find out that they have a new incentive that they're offering. Maybe it's a 3.99 30-year fixed interest rate on FHA. Well, guess what? I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to put content together immediately to be able to put that out there. And I'll maybe either have a voiceover or maybe I'm even in front of the camera in that instance. But I'm going to create a 30 to 60-second video that shares that, hey, I have some information about a new construction project, move in ready today, 30-day close, 3.99% interest rate. We can get you, six, 7,000, whatever that they're offering on closing costs. So I'm giving them my viewers basically on social media everything they need to know about the property except where it is and who the builder is, because I want them to come to me and not go directly to the builder. I'm not advertising for the builder. I'm advertising for me. So that's one of the key things I would definitely tell you as you're creating that content. You're going to have people. I have agents. When I post things like that, I'll have agents. Where's this at? And they want that information. And in most cases, I'll tell them, I'll either DM them. If it's an agent, I'll usually DM them the information. If it's a buyer or consumer, I want to talk to them, and I'll either put my number in the comments or tell them to read or figure out a way to reach out to them, whether it's in DM, but I want to get on a phone call with them. So again, you want to make sure that when you're creating the content, you're not just creating entertainment, or you're not creating something where, again, it's getting high views and maybe people are interested, but they're not connecting with you. That's the main objective in regards to the marketing. Like I said, another aspect of where you can use this is just, if you're putting out a video, maybe just talking about real estate in general, has nothing to do with new construction, but you can use the footage that you shot to create that video as well. So this can be repurposed multiple times. Sometimes you can just mix up multiple houses and create content, because if you're sharing something that's visually pleasing, that's going to draw people in. You have text on the video, that's going to draw people in. And then when they're listening to what it is, you're giving something of value, then you're connecting with people. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's invaluable for you to just go out and visit model homes. Number one, for the connection. Number two, to just grab that content that you can use. We'll talk about open houses towards the end of this, but that is another space of where you can work with new construction homes. Have you ever thought about doing an open house on a new construction home? We have people on here right now that do that on a regular basis. And there's builders out there, some of the big builders out there that will allow you to do that. So we'll touch more on that here shortly. And then again, the home tours with prospective buyers. This is something where I've done home tours where we've had, 15, 20 agents get a party bus, and we're touring those about 5 or 6 properties. Well, we're going to start doing that with consumers, where we, have a party bus and we're hitting, 3 or 4 different builders over the course of about, a 3-hour time frame, and getting more consumers in front of dream homes and getting people in the place where they, stop listening to what the media is saying about interest rates and the economy, and getting them in the place where they're like, man, 3.9% or 4.5%, I can't mess out on this opportunity. Excuse me. And they're moving forward with making purchases with you. So why does it pay to have multiple builder connections? I kind of touched on that. The biggest thing for me is when I have a consumer or a buyer come to me and they give me kind of the area that they're interested in, the type of property that they're looking for, the price point that they want to be in, maybe they're even, the mortgage payment that they want to have. That's why it's very important for me to have the knowledge of knowing the moment they give me a price point and an area. I already have 2 or 3 builders that come to mind, and I know who I'm going to be able to connect them with. So you can't do that if you're not getting to know all the builders that are out there. I will tell you this, a great starting point, if this is something that you're going to do, a great starting point for meeting a lot of builders would be to go to the Painted Prairie area, which is um, 164th and between Tower and E470, basically right across from the Gaylord Resort. The reason that's a really good area because there's about 6 to 7 builders in that area right now. And then another area that's just down the street from them is Aurora Highland. It's on the east side of E470. And you probably have, I don't know, 8 to 10 more builders out there. Some of them overlap, some of them are some of the same builders that are in Painted Prairie. But between those two, you can connect with a lot of different builders. And one of the things that I like that builders started doing maybe 4 or 5 years ago is they allow their sales reps to now not just sell in the community that they're in, but they can sell throughout the metro area. And that's why in most cases, I only need one good sales rep that I'm working with because I know if I find one in Reunion, he or she can help me with that one. But if I find one in Sky Ranch, they can also help me with that one. The only builder that I've come across as of late that does not do that is Tri Point Homes. So you kind of have to, and they probably have about 10 different projects that are going on throughout the metro area. So it's one of those things where you have to get connected with them. But one every builder has an online sales rep, and if you can get connected with that online sales rep, that becomes your go-to person, and then they will introduce you to all these other sales reps within these like a tri-point, so to speak. And I happen to know the online sales rep for tri-point, so I'm able to do that. So again, just and the reason you want to do that, it's going to, in the long run, it's a lot of work on the front end, but in the long run, it's going to make things so much easier for you because you're going to be at a point after you've done this for a while when you have a consumer that tells you about a particular area they want to be in, it will automatically come into your head which builders are in that particular area. So I think that's going to be very, very beneficial for you, making those connections, having multiple connections, because not all builders offer the same thing. TriPoint, for example, they're giving you $40,000 towards seller concessions that can be used towards, closing costs, buying down the interest rate, doing a permanent buy down or doing like a 2-1 or a 3-2-1 buy down. And then you have folks like Richmond or Lennar that have a 3.9% interest rate where they start at. You have D.R. Horton that has about a 4.5 interest rate where they start at. And they're going to have just certain things that they offer, certain types of homes that they build, whether it's a single family home or a paired home or a townhome. So once again, it's knowing all these different builders, knowing their products almost better than they do, that's going to help you to be able to just drive more business to you. All right, so making the strong connections, I think we really kind of covered that. Let's talk about those incentives for a moment. This is one of the things I think is really important to understand that not all builders are the same. Not all builders are, offering the same things. So there are certain builders that, unfortunately, I haven't been able to do business with them because my big push has been the lower interest rates. And if you're not offering, a 3.9 or a 4.25 or something along those lines, it becomes difficult for me to send business your way because I have multiple other um, builders that I'm working with that do have those interest rates. But again, I have some builders where they're taking 82,000 or 50,000 off of the price, and in some cases, for my consumer, that's the thing that they're looking for a better price in a particular neighborhood. So knowing and understanding, those upgrades or those offers that they're offering, and once again, they change on a um, really on a weekly basis. I can tell you the closer you get towards the end of the month, there's going to be better deals with certain builders. Uh, when you get closer to the end of the quarter, there's going to be better deals with certain builders. And then when you get closer to the end of that builder's fiscal year, there's going to be better deals. And that's another important thing to know. For instance, like D.R. Horton's, the end of their fiscal year is September 30th. And that house that I was telling you that we got $82,000 off of, we went under contract. I don't know if it was the 29th or the 30th, but it was like right at the end of their fiscal year. And that's why we were able to get that type of deal. So, understanding those aspects of their business. And this is not something, that you have to learn all of this over the next week, 4 weeks, whatever the case may be. It's going to be time that you learn all of this over the course of time. It's 24 years that I've been in real estate. My very first house that I purchased as an agent, I actually purchased it myself. It was new construction. And the homes that I'd owned prior to that, before real estate, being in real estate, they were new construction. So it's just been an area that I've been plugged into for a very long time, and I'm still learning because again, the industry is changing. Forward commitments. I mean, we had never heard of forward commitments up until a few years ago. But now that's a thing of being able to get these 3.9% interest rates when everyone else is paying 7. Um, so again, really just being able to understand the incentives, and then once again, taking what you understand about those incentives, and then also being able to market them. Okay, so this is where we're going to kind of get into, I think, what most of you that have probably heard me talk about new construction, you haven't really heard me talk about this aspect of it, because now this is where where the rubber meets the road. You got a buyer, they're interested in buying, they're going to go under contract on new construction. And, this is where you go to work on the other side of things. So negotiating with new construction. Now, one of the things I just had a conversation with Ava yesterday where, she was telling me about a situation where it kind of got almost adversarial between her and the agent. The one thing that I would always tell you is, again, these are our partners. Those sales reps, they're our partners. Yes, they represent the other side, but it does not have to be adversarial. And I can also tell you that negotiating with the builder is so much easier than negotiating with that seller that's reselling their home that may have bought it, say, in 2022, and they don't have a whole lot of room to work with. It's just a matter in many cases just asking for the things that you want. Um, one of the things for me when I'm working with a sales rep, I'm going to ask them what can we get? What else can we get outside of what's being advertised? You're going to meet Ava here in just a minute. She is very good about telling you what else. If they're listing that house, it's at 550. They just took it down from 580, so they took 30,000 off the price. So that's a great deal. But Ava will let me know, I know we can get this at 540. I know we can get this at 535. So I'm going to put the offer in at that. So she does a very good job of doing that. Not all of the sales reps that I work with will necessarily tell me that. So I always ask if it is at 550 and it's with Meritage or KB, I'm going to still ask, can we, trim a little bit more off of that? I'm going to squeeze everything that I can out of the deal, for my client. Just to give you an example, we just had one at Richmond in Painted Prairie about 3 weeks ago, and the property was on the market at 424 after taking 35,000 off the price of the house. So we got it at the 424. They were also offering 3.9% interest rate. My buyer wanted to have the closing cost covered. Well, we couldn't get the closing cost covered at 3.9 because The builder had put as much money as they could put in to get through 3.9. So we, through negotiation, we were able to get her 12,000, but we had to raise the interest rate. So we took some of the money that was going to be buying down that permanent, that forward commitment, and placed it towards closing costs. And the buyer was fine with that. She was okay paying a little bit higher interest rate as long as she didn't have to bring money to the table for closing costs. And then to as an added bonus, we actually asked, it didn't have a washer and dryer and a refrigerator or blinds. And we just, threw it up there. Hey, man, this deal would be perfect if we could get washer and dryer, refrigerator, and blinds added to it. And the sales rep, without hesitation, said, you know what? I can ask and we'll see what happens. And we got it. So don't be afraid, to ask. All they can do is say no, and then you start back kind of wherever you were at before, which was probably a pretty sweet deal anyway. So the negotiations part is, it's you again, you're working on behalf of your client. There are going to be certain areas where it's just not negotiable. Like if it's a house that it's 30 days from closing, but it's ready to go. There's no new work that needs to be done to it. In order to get all of these great incentives, you got to close, at the end of that 30 days. So asking for a 60-day close is probably not going to fit. Maybe they'll give you the 60-day close, but there's going to be some chances that they're going to take some things away from that deal for you. So again, but one of the things I would just tell you is, unlike with on the resale side, a lot of times we don't push the envelope. I push the envelope with new construction because all they can say is no, but there's a chance that they may say yes, to some of those things that we're asking for on the negotiation. The contract, this is one of the things I think what is very important to understand is when you're doing the new construction contract, with us all being Colorado real estate agents, we understand the Colorado Real Estate Commission approved contracts. We don't understand builder contracts, and every builder contract is different. And Ava will be able to tell you, but I know at one time their contract was like 104 pages long. And I mean, they are considerably longer than our contracts. I have had sales representatives that have told my client, we've negotiated verbally. They're going to put it into the contract. They're going to send it out for the buyer to sign. And they have basically said, okay, so we'll email this to you. You'll have the opportunity to review it, look over it, and then sign it if you don't have any questions. And I tell them every time, no, we either need to meet in person or we need to do a Zoom to go over this contract. And I can tell you when I first started in real estate, I remember those contract meetings, every one of them, it was a 2-hour meeting, if not longer, because they were going over every aspect of the contract. And that has changed in the industry with quite a few builders. Um, I know Ava does a really good job of going through the contracts. We've done them in office, we've done them through Zoom. But like I said, I've had some builders that have told me and my buyers that, well, you guys just read it, and if you have any questions, let me know. And my thing with that is, I am, I'm a Colorado real estate agent. I know the contract to buy and sell. I don't know your contract. I don't, out of this 80 pages that you have in here, I'm not gonna, mess something that I should have been able to tell my client, um, because you're putting it on me to explain your contract. So that's one thing that I stay firm on that in regards to having that sales representative go through that contract. Because that's the one area where I think it could come back to bite you. Because if there's something in there, because every builder's different, and if there's something in there that is not standard, but all of a sudden this builder has it in there, and you have a buyer in a bad situation. I can tell you, I won't name the builder, but I know of a builder where a buyer did not get loan approval using their inside lender. And that inside lender initially gave them, a pre-approval, but by the time it was time to close, they didn't have loan approval, and it was something that should have been caught on the pre-approval. And based off of how the earnest money was written into the contract, that buyer lost their earnest money, even though it was really the fault of the inside lender. It wasn't even an outside lender. So that's why I say it's just very important to go through those contracts with the sales rep and follow through. And you can certainly, have them send it to you in advance, have them send it to your buyer in advance. You guys can look at it, but there still needs to be that formal meeting where that sales rep is going through the contract with your buyer. Um, and that's, again, opportunity to review it helps you to kind of, pick out the fine print, write your questions down. So when they do go through it, you can ask those questions. Some of the big areas that I am always looking at, once again, is the earnest money. What is the amount of the earnest money? When does it go hard? Does the buyer, because number one, these contracts are always written to the advantage of the seller, the builder. So again, you want to make sure that if there are any areas that are beneficial to the buyer, one of them you want to see is that earnest money. The warranty information. Most warranties are going to be a 1 year, 2 year, 10 year. The 1 year is usually for craftsmanship of it. And so as long as it's not regular wear and tear or negligence by the buyer, if you have something that's defective that first year, it's usually going to be covered. The 2 year is usually mechanical, your furnace, your hot water heater, things of that nature, and the 10 year is usually structural, your foundation, your beams, your framing for the roofing, things of that nature. I do have a form. I have 3 PDFs that I'll send out for everyone that's on here that give you one of them is a PDF that goes over your typical warranties. But once again, every builder is different. So you want to make sure that the warranties that they're offering for that particular property, are in alignment kind of with what the norms are. All right. Um, Here's another one. Should buyers get a third party inspection? And this is having an inspector, just like you do on resale, having an inspector to inspect the home. And I can tell you, up until about 5 years ago, I always told my buyer, it's like you got a bumper to bumper warranty for the first year. You don't necessarily need to spend the money on an inspection. So, in most cases they didn't. But my thinking around that has changed, about 5 years ago, because I had someone do an inspection and there were things that were found that in like within the ductwork and things of that nature that would not have been picked up on the walkthrough the week before closing. So now I'm a big advocate of doing an inspection, but I leave it up to the buyer. And how I typically explain it, there's kind of three different avenues they can take. The first, again, because they do have, this 1 year, in essence, full coverage type of warranty on the property. They don't necessarily have to do an inspection on the property. That we can do the walkthrough. We pick up things there. We can do, they'll have a year of living in the house and kind of working through, all the mechanicals and figuring out other things. And they'll have other times where they can point out different things that are going on with the property. Um, and so that's one way, just not to do the inspection. The other way is to do the inspection prior to closing. It's usually going to be, if you got your walkthrough in a week, they usually want that inspection to be about 2 weeks before that walkthrough. So that gives them enough time to get the report from you and then take care of some of those items that come up before that walkthrough. So again, having an independent inspector do the inspection prior to your walkthrough. And then the third way is if well, actually, there's uh, two more ways. You could do another inspection. So you do an inspection before it closes with an independent inspector. And then in the 6 to 8 month period that you've lived in the property and you have that 1 year coming up, you could do another inspection on the property with an independent inspector just to make sure that there's nothing caught. Or you can actually just not do one at the beginning prior to closing and do that at 6 to 8 months after um, you're coming up on your 1 year. So giving those options, a lot of options, obviously, but you give those options to the buyer. Most cases, if they're going to do an inspection, they're going to do it prior to closing on the property because that's kind of just traditionally when inspections are done. And I think it makes a lot of sense, to do it at that time anyway. So yeah, so that's the area of inspections. And like I said, every time I've done it, it's still 40, 50 pages of information that inspector will come up. They find any and everything. So um I think it's definitely well worthwhile to do that inspection. And then we have that blue tape walkthrough. That's that inspection that you do 1 week before closing. So this is typically the time when the future homeowner, is getting acquainted with their house. They're learning about how the oven range and the dishwasher and all the mechanicals work. Um, they're learning how to take the windows out of out from the framing if they want to clean those. But this also an opportunity to run the water, make sure that there's not any leaks under the sink, flush the toilets, make sure you got hot water, make sure the AC is doing what it should, the furnace is heating up. And then all the blemishes, all the, imperfections with the property. The majority of them will probably be covered by the builder. There's going to be certain things that may not necessarily be covered. Um, just depending on what they are. And that's, one of those, but I would ask for everything and then just let them give you a reason in regards to why something isn't being taken care of. So you do the blue tape walkthrough. I can tell I did my best blue tape walkthrough ever just this week. It was yesterday. Um, there was I don't know, 3 pieces of tape in this whole house. It's been it was just waiting for a buyer for the last couple of months. So they definitely had the opportunity to kind of go through this place with a fine tooth comb already. Um, but it's very impressive because it was actually with the builder that I've been on those blue tape walkthroughs, and there wasn't a sink in the kitchen. The toilets weren't bolted to the floor yet. The AC wasn't connected to the furnace. So they've definitely come a long way from what I've dealt with them in the past. And speaking of which, if you do have that type of blue tape walkthrough, um, I can tell you, I've had conversations with VPs in different builders because of the fact that I'm looking at a house that looks like it has a month's worth of work that needs to be done, but we're closing next week. And the thing about it, I've seen that multiple times with this particular builder, and every time they get it done in that week's time. And it always concerns me about the craftsmanship. How well did they put all of this together to be able to get it done in a week's time? So once again, and the very first time that happened, I was late getting to that appointment, and they were going through the whole presentation to the buyer. And she was a first time home buyer. She had no idea that the property should not be presented to her like this. And I had to stop it kind of right in the middle and say, what's happening here? And that was one where, I ended up talking to the vice president on the customer service side in regards to what they presented to my client. So again, it's one of those areas that you definitely want to um, be present for that. It's another one of those areas where I've heard of agents that will say, well, I don't go to that walkthrough because I don't want to be responsible for, pointing something out or not pointing something out, and all of a sudden something comes back down the road. And I guess that, it's kind of like some agents don't go to inspections on resale because of that. My thing, it's always been from a customer service standpoint. I'm going to be there with my clients. Um, I didn't build the house. I'm not an inspector. They know that I'm not an inspector, and I don't, tell them that, I'm what if I mess it, that, it's because I'm a real estate agent. I'm just giving you an extra set of eyes on it. So it's just been one of those things that I always go. I think it's just another layer of the customer service that I want to be able to provide for my clients, but it's really kind of up to, every individual agent. I think most agents that I talk to that do new construction usually attend that walkthrough. All right, we're gonna almost close it out here, and then I'm gonna bring Ava on for a couple of quick questions. Um, but open houses in new construction, this is, like I said, something that's relatively, I got wind of them. I haven't done any, but I got wind of them about 3 years ago. And not all builders are providing this to agents, allowing agents to come in and hold their properties open. But there are a few, and it's certain circumstances when this occurs. When you have a builder that is they have a lot of inventory and it's not moving. They're desperate. They're looking for opportunities that may be presented where they can just get more exposure. So, if they have an agent that they know is doing a lot of business and they have, a following on social media, and they can post that they're doing an open house at this new construction, um, they feel like, okay, this could potentially, bring in, more, someone to purchase these homes. So I've had some of the big builders that have done it when they have high inventory. I've also know of some of the smaller builders that do this because in most cases, they have one sales rep, or maybe they don't have a sales rep at all. And so it's beneficial to them to have any open houses done on their properties when they're like a builder that may build, 10, 12 homes a year. They probably don't have necessarily a sales team on hand. There's a couple of builders that are building probably 30 to 40, and they have agents that are part of their staff, but they may or may not be doing open houses. Yet again, it's another opportunity to be able to hold open houses. And I want you to think about it, you as the agent holding an open house on a new construction home. Um, you think about it, it's a great opportunity because it's a brand new house. It's going to show well when you create, your video content around it. When people show up for it, it's going to be a great opportunity for you to gain new business. And if you're fortunate, maybe you get the person that walks through the door that wants to buy it, and you represent them. But most open houses, the goal is to get data, to get information of the people that come through. So one of the things that I would suggest when you're doing a new construction open house, you already have a buyer that is saying, "Hey, I like new construction. I want to see this." So when they come in, you're gathering information from them for the purposes of being able to send them more new construction properties that are on the market. So you can tell them, hey, I have a database, or I have a private, VIP list of other new construction homes that are comparable in price to this one. I also have a VIP list of, different price points. And it's very simple for you to create that. You can literally just go into MLS and get the new construction, or you can pull the from area builders in that immediate area and get their new construction. And one of the things that I do is I create it on my own form because I want to take out the builder, I want to take out the address, and I want to take out the neighborhood because once again, if I'm sending this to them, they're, it's a landing page. They put their name, phone number, email address. They get the, once they hit send, they get the document. I don't want them rushing over to that builder talking to them without me. So I'm keeping myself into the fold by giving them the price, giving them the square footage, all the particulars about the house, um, maybe some verbiage about the neighborhood, but not what neighborhood it is. If I know that if it's listed at 550 and at one point, it was at 580, sharing that there's a significant price drop. These particular properties have a 3.9% interest rate. I'm going to give them all the information to get them excited about wanting to see the house, but they're going to have to call me to be able to go and see the house. So just something to keep in mind, if you decide to do that digital form or if you do a printout of that. All right, so final thoughts around this, just kind of just what we've talked about. Again, like I said, make new friends with your sales reps. You'll find that these will be some of your closest people. Like I said, Ava and I talk just about every week. I have a couple of other sales reps that I talk to every week. Some of them, others I'm talking to, once or twice a month. But again, they're a great resource, and you are a great resource for them. It's a great partnership. Do your homework on builders. Learn more about all the areas that a builder may be in. Like I said, it's not going to be overnight that you figure all of this out. It's going to take time, but get started and become that new construction specialist where people just call you when they want to know something about new construction. And that goes right into what I was going to say next. Market like a new construction specialist. So the information that you put out in regards to new construction, you want to be the expert within your sphere, within your community on social media. You want to be the go-to person that people, if they're talking to someone at work and they're thinking about buying new construction, they immediately think, well, don't do it without, let me connect you with my person because they know the ins and outs of this. So again, creating content that makes you the expert in that area. Always advocate for your clients. I think that this is one of those things where, I mean, it's obvious, but at the same time, it's easy on new construction because you have the sales rep that kind of takes care of a lot of those of both sides of the deal for you. Be sure to stay engaged, especially if you're building from the ground up. That's going to be more of a 9, 10 month process. So you have to stay engaged with your client throughout that process because it's very easy, through you do the contract, nothing's really happening for the first month, building, 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 building. You don't have anything until you get to the electrical or drywall inspection, and then you don't have anything again until you have the blue tape inspection. Be engaged in those other areas with your client. Just checking in. You should be doing weekly check-ins anyway with all of your under contract clients. Your long-term new construction build is no different. So staying engaged, staying connected with them and then understanding the contract, but do not present the contract. So, like I said, it's just one of those things that I think you could potentially, get yourself into some trouble if you are presenting a contract that you're not familiar with. All right. So some marketing tools that I'm going to send out. These are all PDF forms. The warranty, giving you again the coverage and the time frames that they're covered. I'll be able to send that out to you. Marketing strategies for new construction. A lot of what I talked about today is going to be in that document. I think it's about a 4 or 5 page document. And then the blueprint to mastering new construction, I actually just finishing that up. It's like 48 pages, but everything that we just discussed here, it actually goes into greater detail than what I shared here. But that will I'll get those out to everyone that was on. Those will be all PDFs that you can look out for. All right, with that, I want to bring on Ava Knight. How are you doing, ma'am?
Hello.
All right, I'm glad to have you here today. And one of the things I would definitely tell you, if for you that are listening, um, find Ava on social media, Facebook, Instagram. She really ramped up her social media probably over the last, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months or so, but she's putting some great information out right now. So definitely someone that you want to connect with. But I thought it would be good for us to kind of just have a conversation, and then we'll open it up for questions within the group here. Um, but you and I, I mean, we've talked and you've told me about some different areas that, never really get talked about in these types of sessions that I definitely want to, be able to discuss. I think one of them for me first would be, again, you have that buyer that finds the home that they want to purchase. And then you may have other buyers that are looking at that same home. So can you kind of share what that process looks like for, pulling the house off the market?
Yeah, so, and again, I can only speak for Lennar just because that's who I work for. And our process is super, super different from most builders. Truly, it is a first come, first serve, but we do require to have our buyers ducks in a row. Meaning, I will be able to explain once we get to the part where buyers love the home, I will then explain the next step wherever we're at. So typically the next step, first thing, is get pre-qualified with my lender. We do require this feature or this part first, just because if they're entertaining our special financing, our low interest rates, we want to know how much that is going to cost Lennar. So I need that piece, but most importantly, does the buyer qualify for my rates? Because we do have requirements for these rates. I just want to know first piece, do they qualify for it so I don't set them up for failure and get them all excited before we know? And then secondly, I need that cost from my lender to submit in my offer. And so that's always the first piece. I always like to say the faster they go, the faster that they submit their application, the faster that my lender and myself can go quickly after that. And so that's the first piece. And then once I get that back, then I put together the offer. So yeah, the offer is presented by me. So you guys don't have to set anything up. The offer is presented by me to my manager based on our discussion. And so what I like to do, and something that Barry touched on, is I'm very open and transparent on what else I think I can do for you and your buyers. And so this gives me an opportunity based on the cost of the rate. It gives me an opportunity to determine, okay, I think we have room to ask for X, Y, and Z, or it could be a different conversation of, the rate is a little higher than I normally see it. So they management is going to consider that in addition to what we're asking for. So I will set the expectation of, hey, we may not be able to get you this unless, again, we go up in our rate, ask for all of your closing costs to be covered. I can always give you scenarios, different options that make sense for everybody. And so that's kind of where that them going through the loan application gives me actual insight on what I can do. Because we could be sitting in a home, we could be talking about hypothetical situations, but that doesn't do me any good because I can't take hypothetical to my managers. So first things first, pre-qual, then I submit the offer. And then once we agree to the terms, I take it back to you and your buyers to say, hey, these are the agreed terms. Do you want to move forward? And at that point, if the buyers give me a response of yes, I want to move forward, then I have the ability to pull the home off the market, but we do have to move quickly. I don't allow them, not I, Lennar does not allow them to think about it days, right? Sometimes they're like, no, I want to take my time reading the contract. I want to take my time and make sure this is the right fit. Some things that I have gone through is, unfortunately, we don't give you the time to actually do your due diligence in the sense of If you need more time to think about it, absolutely take all the time you need. But that could also mean we would have to resubmit the offer, or the home gets pulled off the market because someone else is already 2 steps ahead. So something to think about when you guys are considering pulling a home off the market for the buyers. Yes, buyers can move quickly, but if they need the time, I will respect that. But do know that I can't hold a home until they're ready.
All right. Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I, definitely had that situation. I think you and I had that situation where we had a buyer. I mean, they saw the house, and by the end of the day, we could have pulled it off the market for them, but they did need to think about it more, and they ultimately ended up buying resale. But and that's the other thing with Ava and with the other sales reps that I work with. It's not high pressured sales. It's more of, again, the inventory that they have, especially when they have these incentives going. A lot of times they do fly right off the shelves, so to speak. So they can't have them tied up if there's not going to be a signed contract within, a 24-hour period or so. Um, Next thing I just wanted to ask, just in regards to, like I said, when we've worked together, you have really gone to bat for our buyers, and you've asked for stuff that I didn't even think to ask for. And now you got me going to other builders asking for stuff, and you're like, why are you asking for that? But what are some of the things that, a buyer can ask for during negotiation?
Yeah. So some of the common things that I see, and that I have the ability to ask for is washer and dryer. And it does depend on the type of home. So if you're looking at a townhome, typically there are stackable washer and dryers, and then on a single family, they are the side by side traditional full size. Um, Blinds. Now the blinds is the 2-inch faux blinds. They are only going to be in areas that we can reach, and in the entire home. So for an example, if a home has vaulted windows, we won't put blinds there or on the slider. And then extra closing cost. Um, there are now some communities that don't include refrigerators, and so now I've had to remember to ask for that too in those specific communities. But for the most part, refrigerators are included. But yeah, those are typically the extra things that we can ask for in a blue moon. I mean, typically when we are in our end of fiscal year, they will incentivize rear yard landscaping. So that is in a blue moon situation. And when we do, gosh, those homes go really quick.
All right. And then I know we had this conversation yesterday. So again, you have a 3.9% interest rate. And then you have that agent that comes in that wants to ask for, say, $10,000 towards seller concession on top of that.
Mhm.
Um, you want to kind of just explain, and this is kind of getting more, even though you're not a lender, you've learned and understood, there's limitations on concessions. You want to kind of share more on that in regards to that?
Yeah. And so recently I have come across these challenges with agents and buyers not understanding that there are seller concession limits based on how much you put down, the loan type, and everything. So just having a basic knowledge on, I know we're real estate agents or new home consultants that are just here to show you the home or the buyers the home, but just having a little bit of knowledge on the lending side is going to help you immensely. So the rates that we offer um, does eat into the seller concession. And that's where we have to show we credit the buyer. We give that to the buyers to pay for the rate on the lending side for auditing purposes. And so it's not just free money or money that doesn't exist. So that has to show that the buyers are buying it down somehow. And so we pull it from that concession. And so please understand the reason why I need the rate cost from my lender is because of that. It helps me determine what more I can help contribute on the seller concession side. That means extra closing costs. If I could cover their closing costs, setting those proper expectations, and it does vary from buyer to buyer, how much you put down, etc.
All right, thank you so much for that. And then just one more, and we'll open it up to see if we have any questions within the group here. Um, in regards to utilizing you, I know what the experience has been like, but for that agent that's calling you and saying, "Hey, I know you work up north, but I got someone that wants to buy, say, in the Green Valley Ranch area. Can you help?" Just if you want to just kind of share, your above and beyond customer service delivery for the clients and the agents.
Yeah, so because I can actually go all over town with Lennar. I'm not limited. I can go as far as Loveland at the moment, all the way down to Colorado Springs. The most important thing I would like to ask is just a scheduled appointment so that I can plan my day around that too, and in between other appointments I may have. And so, yeah, I will go wherever you need me to go, wherever the buyers want to go, within, of course, my availability as well.
All right. Yeah. And a lot of builders these days do offer that. I know Richmond kind of splits the metro area north and south. So I've actually had my go-to person for Richmond that works the north end. And then when I had something in Sterling Ranch, which is south, she couldn't go there. So I had to get another person to be able to help me there. But as Ava mentioned, she can go pretty much everywhere. There's been times when I'm in San Diego or I'm somewhere else and she is taking care of my clients for me. And I'll share how we actually met. I had a client that was talking to Ava that, unbeknownst to me, I had no idea they were having this conversation. We were under contract on a Meritage property, and he decided, Ava called, and I think they dropped the price on the property he was interested in by like 50,000. And so that was the one he wanted. So he got out of the Meritage property and decided to get the Lennar property. And like I said, his conversations with Ava were without me, but she still called me and said, "Hey, I understand that you're his agent. Still want you to be on the deal. We're signing the contract today." So that's how I met her. The day that the contract is being signed, she didn't have to do that. But again, that's the type of person she is. She definitely goes to bat for the buyers, the agents. We'll make sure that she puts her information into the chat and that you guys can reach out to her at the end. But I do want to open it up for any questions anyone else may have.
I have a question. Just
Hi,
really
Marissa.
quickly, just to re-clarify something that you had said. So you submit that offer, comes back, you go over the terms. Is that the time when you would go over the contract? Or are you just asking the buyer, do you want to proceed? And if that's the case, what you're saying, so when do you go over the contract with them?
Yes, so it's usually within that 24 cycle. So for an example, yesterday, for an example, I presented the terms that my management agreed to. And then I asked the question, hey, when would you like to sign? If all looks good term wise, when would you be available to sign and pay the earnest money deposit? We can schedule a time today or as late as tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so I have had many times where we do it right away. I mean, I just need like 30 minutes to prep everything, but usually, if the buyers are ready to go, I can get it done within while they had visited the home, got their pre-qual, got approved offer. All of that can happen actually very quickly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Any questions? And I see you
Very
got
soon. Oh,
Go
Mhm.
ahead.
I
Well, you
wanted
got
to
to
add
record.
one.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to add one thing though, something that through my relationships with my realtor, something that I like to add, and it could maybe against Lennar's policy, but something I like to do is really protect my buyers and my realtors together. So if you know that you were talking about new construction and perhaps we see it all the time, is that they do go out without you. Perfect example between me and Barry. Um, I can always register them in advance before, if in case they come out without you. So they're already in the system attached to you, so that you're protected.
How do you do that? Like how if you have somebody that you're working with and they, are just out on their own time
Mhm.
and not with you, how do you register them?
Yeah, I just need contact information, either a phone number or an email or both. And then your information if I don't have it already. And then I just attach you in our registration.
Okay.
hmm I'm not so protected in that situation. So if your buyers are looking, it's best to schedule an appointment with me. But I understand sometimes that can happen. I have run into that where buyers have gone out, already spoke to a sales rep, and then the realtor reaches out to me. I then cannot get involved because I was not the person who met the buyer. hmm
So is it more just making sure, letting your clients know, like, hey, I am representing you. If you do go out, please make sure you let me know, kind of a deal.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And schedule it with me directly. There has been many times where I know the buyer, and I let the realtor, I always tell my friends, like, hey, tell your realtor to call me directly. But because they don't know me or the relationship, they think they're protecting themselves by calling in and then registering their clients. But what happens is that it may be a community I'm not technically in the territory for, so they don't assign it to me. And so that will really mess up the situation. And it has happened before, but always just fish all the information through me. I will protect you better than you coming through the 1-800 number.
Okay.
Right. Thanks, Marissa. Anyone else have any questions? Diane, definitely come unmute yourself. And so Diane has almost a year in real estate. I'm not sure how many new constructions she's closed. I know she has quite a few that are under contract or going under contract. So she's definitely seen the value in this. And she's also definitely had some experiences, some learning experiences from it, by, just dealing with some things going on with the builder that we never want to have to see for ourselves or our clients. So you want to share some more information, Diane?
Sure, happy to. So I went on Barry's bus tour, it was just about a year ago, and it was eye-opening for me about the opportunity in new construction. So I really started focusing on it probably late last summer. And by April, I will have 7 either closed or under contract in new construction. And I'm working on number 8 right now. So one of those was with Ava, which was awesome. And every single one has been with a different builder. And so it's been a learning process just to get to understand each builder and what their systems are. Some are more stringent about inspections, and negotiations are different for each one. So that has been a little bit of a learning curve, but I think, what Barry said about the relationships makes all the difference in the world. The couple things I wanted to mention, Barry talked a lot about marketing. I haven't done any formal marketing for new construction other than a post here and there on social media. What's driving my business is it was really 2 things. One is talking about it in my buyer consult. And every person that I've sat down to talk to who's bought new construction has been looking at resale and had you have to kind of overcome their perceptions of new construction from the old days of it takes 2 years and they build forever and there's going to be problems. Um, Not a lot of people realize what is offered in today's market with homes that are either available currently or ready very soon in the next couple of months. And so for those people who are scared about the interest rate or scared about payment or just first time buyers, they are nervous about owning a home. Having a warranty, having the low interest rate, having the help with closing costs, that has steered all of those conversations away from resale and to new build for me. And then the other driver of my new build business has been, like Barry said, open houses. So 3 of my deals came from doing open houses at new builds. And they ultimately bought a new build, but not with the builder where I met them. So, having that like kind of market knowledge of the person I'm working with right now looking for a ranch with no basement, the builder that we met at doesn't have that, but I knew the builder that did. And so that's what we're working on. So, um, and then the last thing I'll add is people don't often think that they need an agent when they buy new construction, and they don't. Anybody can walk into a builder and purchase a home without using a real estate agent. There are so many benefits to using an agent. Think about it this way. We are partners with the new home, consultant or the sales agent. They represent the builder. We represent the buyer. And so, we're working like Barry and Ava, we're talking about negotiating on the behalf of both the seller and the buyer. And the big benefit is that the most times the builder is going to pay for our commission. So that is a huge cost savings and less stress for you in negotiating versus resale. So just a couple of thoughts there.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I think it's all beneficial. Did you have another question, Marissa?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course I do.
Okay. All right.
So in trying to think about going to the builders and asking to like sit open houses or starting that relationship, is there like a certain way to do that, a script to kind of follow on doing that? Is it just showing up and introducing yourself and just point blank asking, hey, do you need anybody to sit open houses? Like any guidance on that?
Yeah, and I'll let Ava touch on that as well. But I tell you, they're looking forward to meeting you. In most cases, I have run into some where it doesn't seem like they're necessarily looking forward to meeting me. But Ava knows the value of having all these agents, and that's why she's done quite a few of these with us. And so she has a little army of EXP agents within our group that are out there talking about Lennar Homes. So they want to meet you. So it's really one of those things where you just go in, you have your business card, and introduce yourself. And typically what I do is I say, I just want to go through, take a look at the models, and I'll usually ask for either a price sheet or an inventory sheet. I may find out what incentives they're offering. Do you have closing costs? They got forward commitment on the interest rates. So that way I'm gathering my information on the front end, and then I'll go tour the homes and, usually stop back by and tell them, how great the houses were. And if I have time, a lot of times I'll find out how long they've been, in the business, because I'm interviewing, because I look at it, if I'm going to a builder, there's a couple of builders that I think is New Homes Company or New Home Company. I've never been there. I have no one there. So when I go there, I'm going to be interviewing to see who's going to be my go-to person, um, for this community. So if you kind of look at it from that perspective, you're more in charge than necessarily they are. You don't really need a script. You just, go in and you introduce yourself, and they'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And Ava, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think just through my opportunities that you've given me and just going around to other brokerages and doing realtor presentations, you can always call me directly. Or, hopefully if you're going to be visiting the offices, just saying, hey, if, asking the question, what areas do you service? And could I call you directly? Because I think a lot of the times that I have noticed is what's perhaps maybe frustrating for the realtors like you guys is you go online and you're trying to find information, just basic information, taxes, HOA, if the home has a basement, and it's really not that easy to do online. And so then you're calling the 1-800 number, and then, who knows if they call you back. So just being able to call the person directly for information is going to benefit and help you. And so just building those relationships. I mean, even I have friends and have made connections with other builders because sometimes I like to fact check my buyers. And sometimes they'll say, hey, so and so is doing this. Well, I can just call that builder, my rep, and just confirm. And often not, uh, they have actually debunked their whatever they're telling me. So and so it benefits me too. And so I'm really well connected. So is Barry. And so, but at the end of the day, like for me, I can speak for myself. I'm always looking out for the best interests of my realtors and my buyers.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much.
And Ava, if you don't mind dropping your contact information, including your social media handles. I know Julio is asking for that. If you can just put that in the chat. And then when she does that, I would say all of you grab that information. You already got Lennar covered. You don't need to search for anyone because I'm telling you, I've worked with other people in Lennar before I met Ava. I've worked with some when she was on maternity leave.
Mm-hmm.
Ava is my person. She's the go-to. And now, all the different sales reps that I work with other builders, if I was to rank them, Ava is number one on all of them. That's why, when I do stuff like this, she's the person I call. So Lennar is covered for you guys. You guys can definitely call her, interview her, make sure she's a good fit for you. But I would say, this is one that you can count on, that you can work with. Um, and see, I was going to mention something. Oh, your question, Nicole. Yeah, so I've had that situation before, where, you get, in most cases, before you take a buyer out to new construction, you've already got them pre-qualified with a lender that is not necessarily the new construction lender. So they're pre-qualified, and then you go to the builder, and a lot of their incentives are tied to using their in-house lender. So you can still use the outside lender, but there's some of those incentives, or all of those incentives, that you may not be able to get. I'll let Eva, she can kind of give some insight. This is kind of some of the inside scoop she'll share here. But just to kind of give you an example, the house that I'll be closing on next Friday, um, we were going through the inside lender because we had all these great incentives that were attached to it. We got to a certain point where the inside lender could not do the deal. So we said, okay, well, we already have her pre-approved and we can get the property, but you know what? I don't know why she's not approved, because she's approved over here and we can close. So that $12,000 that you were going to give us for closing costs, we still want it. And they gave it to us. And then I was telling Ava about that yesterday. It wasn't Lennar, but she said, "Yeah, you should have asked for more. You probably would have got that too." So, Ava, if you want to just kind of share, when it's an outside lender situation, what that looks like.
Yeah, so I actually have had this happen recently with my buyers is based on the information that you're given us, it looks like we could do the loan. But when we dive a little deeper through the underwriting process, it determines that one, it could be they need a cosigner, and now the cosigner is an ITN type buyer, and we just don't do anything with ITNs. And so, or we don't have a great program for ITNs. And so in that situation, we have a backup lender that we utilize that does a lot of, we call him, he saves a lot of our deals. And if you don't want to use that lender and you have your own backup lender, What something that Lennar I have appreciated through the years is that it has not always been this way, but in the last, I would say through COVID, because at the end of the day, we want the home closed. And so if we have to help your buyers and that lender close the deal, then we will help with seller concession. So one example I can give is the backup lender that we have. He told us, he goes, look, in order to do this, I need all 6% seller concession. Do you think we blinked? No. We were like, okay, I'll just do the revision, get this approved, do the revision, and we're good. And whatever he does with that 6% between him and the buyers is up to them. We just, he said he needed this to make the deal happen, and we gave him that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and that's the thing is, like I said earlier, it doesn't hurt to ask. All they can do is say no, and then you figure out what to do from there. And Marissa, in regards to your question, which CRM do you use?
We were with KV Core, which just got bought out by Bold Trail.
Yeah. And Diane can confirm, but I'm pretty sure that you can create, because I think she was telling me that she does this. She may do it with Lofty or a different one, but I'm pretty sure you can do it in KV Core where you can create a landing page. It will automatically drop into your CRM there. Is that accurate,
Yes.
Diane?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. You can do it on both KV Core and Lofty.
Okay. All right. All right, folks. Well, this was great information. I hope all of you took good notes on this. Like I said, I will have the PDFs coming out shortly and get that out to everyone. And feel free if you have any questions here. I'll drop my number in here. Most of you
Very,
have it.
very
Go
well.
ahead.
You're doing that. I just wanted to pitch two things.
Hmm.
Um, in Denver, there's a builders breakfast coming up on May 1st. It's free. There's something like 40 or so builders who are going to be presenting there. I'm not sure if Ava's going to be one of them, but she always does fun stuff. It is a great crash course and an awesome way to make connections and find out what people are offering. They give tons of swag away. Absolutely worth the time attending. I'm going to drop that in now. And then the other
Yeah.
one, Barry, do you want to talk about next month's class?
Yeah, so next month, this is a training that we're doing every month, and it is open to people outside of SAC, and we're just trying to bring value to our organization. And really, my whole goal is I want agents, whether you're with us, whether you're not, making an extra six figures off of some of the information that we're sharing with you. And Diane has set up with one of her lender partners that does an amazing class just on a part of it is on open houses, but she covers quite a few different areas of really growing your real estate business. And just I haven't sat in the class. I've just heard some things that Diane has shared just about open houses. And it was so compelling. I was like, yeah, we got to have her on. So that's going to be next month. I know Diane just sent me the invite. We'll be adding that to the calendar. And it'll be another great training session. Like I said, this monthly training session that we're doing, this is probably the only one. Maybe Dan or Monica will come on. This is probably the last time you'll see me doing a training. We want to bring in people from the outside to bring in training as well, because there's a lot of amazing people out there that are doing some great things that we want to get in front of you. All right. Well, with that, we will go ahead and adjourn for the day. It was great seeing all of you, and hopefully you got some great information from this. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.